Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Spill, a movie night podcast with your hosts, Chelsea
and Jackie.
Film Spill is a movie night podcast that is based on female filmmakers, and we want it to feel more like a movie night and not just us talking about film, but also us playing slumber party type games, spilling entertainment gossip, getting to know each other and our guests.
And speaking of guests, this week we have a very special guest, Aspen Nelson, who is a producer and writer with Onyx. And fun fact, we actually recorded this episode a couple weeks ago, and we let you guys know that we had to delay it a bit. So this is Aspen's technical second time on the show. But if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, Aspen, to our listeners.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Aspen, and like Jackie said, I am a producer and writer at Onyx, and I am just a huge horror film nerd.
So Aspen, what would you say is your dream job?
My dream job would be to redirect all the Harry Potter movies, but make them super gay and bring out all like the queer subtext that's there, because it's very heavily there, and just bring it out and make it just like this huge queer adventure, which is what it deserves.
That is a great idea. I never even thought about that. That would be such a great spin-off. Do it, Aspen. I'll help you.
Yes. Oh my God. We'll make it together.
And why did you choose Jennifer's Body this week?
I have a deep obsession with it. My entrance essay to NYU was about Jennifer's Body. I just have this deep love for the movie. It is just so fascinating to me, so unique, and just everything about it is perfect. I can't think of a single flaw.
And today, we're going to be talking about Jennifer's Body, directed by Karyn Kusama and written by Diablo, Cody.
But first, it's time for a game of MASH. For anyone listening who doesn't know, MASH is this classic slumber party game, at least for me. It was huge in my elementary and middle schools, and basically MASH stands for Mansion, Apartment, Shack, House, and it's kind of a way of like predicting your future or seeing what a possible future could look like for you. So yeah, I have 6 categories for like different things that could be part of your life, I guess. And then Aspen is going to give me 3 options for each category. So like if the category is career, they could say producer, writer, and cinematographer. And then one of those options will be what Aspen will get. Are you ready to play, Aspen?
Yes, I feel much more prepared this time. I feel like I have answers like ready.
Ooh,
so.
Okay, exciting. So last time, since our listeners won't get to hear the audio, I have this written down. Aspen was a cinematographer in Toronto. They lived in a mansion with Zendaya. That was their life partner. They had wood whittling as a hobby and a pet alligator. All right, so career.
Okay. So we're not doing cinematographer for sure, since in my last life I did that.
Previous life.
My previous life. So let's start with production designer.
Ooh, okay.
And then hair and makeup artist, which I can't do in real life, so we'll pretend that I can.
It's a fantasy.
That's true. And then we'll do stunt double.
Ooh, I really like these ones. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and then celebrity spouse / life partner.
Okay, I've been watching a lot of The Nanny. Do you guys know who Fran Drescher is?
Oh my God, I love her! I love that show. Are you watching on HBO Max?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my God.
I started from season 1, but I've seen every season.
Hey, oh my God. It's just amazing to watch in order.
She's iconic. I love Fran.
Such an icon.
Do you have another spouse or life partner?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Hunter Schafer to keep with the Euphoria theme.
Ooh, okay. I haven't seen Euphoria. I gotta watch it. I just got HBO Max, so I will.
Oh my God, please, Jackie, please. And then for the other partner, I'll put Dev Patel.
Ooh, yes. Okay. Cool. So then, city or place where you'd like to live?
Oh, okay. Let's do Forks, Washington.
Yes, Twilight. I love it.
I want to go there so bad because
It's
apparently
so
they're
cool.
having like a festival. You've been?
Yeah, I just went. I just went in May.
Stop. Was it
Yeah.
incredible?
Oh yeah, like you really feel like you're in a Twilight movie when you go there. Like the vibes in the movie are the vibes that you get when you're there.
That's, oh my God. Okay, I need to go.
Do you have two other places, Aspen?
Sure. I'm gonna put New Orleans because I really want to go there.
Nice.
Now I want to do an international place. Let's do Morocco.
Ooh. So the next category is celebrity best friend / work partner. So someone either you just want to hang out with or you want to like collaborate on stuff with.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Jordan Peele to start.
Ooh, yes.
Yes, are you guys gonna watch Candyman?
Yes.
I'm excited.
When does that come out? Is it in October?
August 27th.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. Okay, I gotta be there. Opening day.
Soon.
So another celebrity best friend or work partner.
Okay, let's do Karyn just for
Karyn
the
Kusama.
episode. She's amazing.
Nice.
And then a third one. So I'm gonna use someone I used last time, who's Anna Biller, who directed The Love Witch.
Very cool. All right, the next category I have is hobby. We're almost done. Sorry, this is trailing on.
No, you're totally good. Okay. Hobby. Let's do scuba diving, gymnastics, or crocheting.
Very interesting choices. I love it. Scuba diving is really interesting. Have you scuba dived before?
My partner has scuba dived before, so like I kind of know about it, but there's a picture of fish on our wall, and so that's what made me think about it.
Okay, and our last category is pet.
Oh my God. Okay, because my chihuahua is right next to me, I am gonna say chihuahua. What other? Okay, I'm gonna go crocodile and capybara.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. They are so adorable.
Great.
So I have your future.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay, so you are going to be a hair and makeup artist.
Okay.
Your celebrity spouse / life partner is Hunter Schafer.
Oh my God. Okay, I peeked.
You are going to be collaborating with / hanging out with Karyn Kusama. Very fitting for this episode.
That's a good vibe.
Your hobby is gymnastics. A little Simone Biles situation, if you will.
Ooh, okay.
And then you are living in a mansion in New Orleans with your pet crocodile.
Okay. I don't even know how it got better. Well, I don't even know if it got better than the last one. It's still fantastic, and it's still Euphoria themed, which is very interesting.
Yeah, that's so true. Wait, oh my gosh. So anyway, that is another alternate timeline or a second life or something for you.
Okay, I'm so here for that timeline. That's both of them. I'll live in both of them simultaneously.
Just be dating Hunter Schafer and Zendaya at the same time.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. So before we get into Jennifer's body, just to mention that there will be spoilers for the movie up top and that it is available to watch on Hulu. Content warning, because it's part of the movie, there will be some discussion of violence and gore in this episode. So feel free to stop here and come back next week if that isn't something you want to hear right now. So Aspen, what are your initial thoughts of the film?
Yeah, I think first off, it's like a perfect film to me. I hold it very near and dear to my heart because I feel like it is such an authentic piece of film because of how it portrays like this kind of like revenge fantasy against men and men who objectify women. And Megan Fox being the starring role, it's the perfect casting choice. So it's just so symbolic. I think in a lot of ways, in terms of like the casting, the design of the film, it was so right place, right time. All the great elements came together. So every time I watch the film, I laugh. I'm torn between Needy and Jennifer. It's just amazing.
Yeah, I feel like this movie didn't get the credit that it deserved in the beginning. It definitely has gotten more recognition and more credit now because it's seen for what it is. And it is a really well done movie. The cinematography is great. The story is great, well written. Kudos to Diablo Cody for it having this vision and going and moving forward with it and standing by her movie, even though she got hate for it.
Yeah, so ahead of its time.
Definitely. Yeah, and I love just like how campy it is. I love the jokes in it. It's just a really good time. And I think it's also such an like interesting commentary on sort of what it's like to be a teenager. Like there's that like the first line of the movie is Needy saying hell is a teenage girl. And it's just an interesting portrayal of that, like you're not just like a hormonal and like anxious mess. You're like literally a demon. So okay, so to intro the film, in case you haven't seen it, which you should definitely see it. When a demon takes possession of her, high school hottie Jennifer, Megan Fox, turns a hungry eye on guys who never stood a chance with her before. While evil Jennifer satisfies her appetite for human flesh with the school's male population, her nerdy friend, Needy, Amanda Seyfried, learns what's happening and vows to put an end to the carnage. And that's from Rotten Tomatoes.
Jennifer is used as a part of satanic ritual by an indie wannabe band who tries to exchange a virgin for fame and fortune. Unfortunately for them, Jennifer isn't a virgin, so she comes back from the dead and has an appetite for men that surround her. Needy puts an end to Jennifer by the end of the film, only to discover that she now contains some of Jennifer's power. Yeah. I have a question for all of you guys.
Oh.
What character did you resonate with the most?
It's going to be the lame answer, but I'm going to say Jennifer, just because like objectification in film and media and just in general has always just annoyed me so much, really like grinds my gears. I didn't want her to die. I was like, I don't totally have a problem with what she's doing. Like maybe when she killed Chip, I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that to your friend. But besides that, I was like, I mean, are you making the world like a better place? I don't know.
I would say Needy, only because there's that one point where she's trying to convince Chip that like Jennifer is an actual demon and he's not listening to her. And like I feel like not that like I'm like I think people are demons, but like I feel like I've had conversations with people before where like I'm like, this is actually an issue, or like, there's something going on here, and they're like, no way, like it's chill, don't worry about it. And then it ends up being a problem. Exactly. Gaslight gatekeep. I mean, I feel like Needy is the most relatable character in the movie. Like she just feels like, I mean, she's our protagonist and she feels like the most like fully realized character, I guess.
And I guess you could say she's most ethical too. She's like, okay, yeah, I'll kill the band that, made my best friend like into a literal like demon. And, I'll embrace the power, but I'm not going to go reckless with it. So I think that's really cool about her. Like there was definitely a happy medium. They're not like killing all boys is bad. It's like killing some boys, it's all right. It's pretty good.
Yeah, when they're like evil, like
yeah, some justice.
Could you say that that's something that's common, that people have this sympathy for a person who kills bad people, like Dexter? How we sympathize with Dexter and how we're fans of him and we idolize him, even though he kills people, but he kills bad people. So how do you differentiate the wrong in that?
That's a good question. I haven't seen Dexter, but I'm like familiar with the plot. I feel like there's something about anti-heroes in general that people really like because like I feel like a hero in a lot of ways is too perfect, too clean, too unattainable. Like they're an idealized version that we're never going to relate to, but someone like an anti-hero, they I think they're a little more realistic. They understand the system's not always going to work. It's not always going to, do what you want and very seldom does it ever. So I think it's very cathartic to see someone like Dexter who is, taking justice into their own hands and is like, you know what, I'm going to kill some really awful people and, the world might be better for it. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think people are drawn to characters who are more like morally gray. Because, like you said, a hero being always on the right side of everything, it's a little bit predictable. It's a little bit boring. Like, there, I guess, is a line, because, like, you don't want to kill innocent people, and that's kind of what, for the most part, Jennifer does. Just because she is possessed and like can't really control herself, and that's also kind of like her attitude, like she doesn't really care. But yeah, I definitely think like Needy sort of harnesses that energy and puts it to, I guess, like actual productive, I don't know, like it makes it actually productive, I guess. And it's kind of this poetic justice at the end because she kills them with the knife that they killed Jennifer with, which I love, that little detail.
I have another fun fact for you guys. So the ending scene, now that we're talking about the ending scene, right? You know how she gets stabbed, so Needy stabs Jennifer, and Jennifer's like, ow, my tit. And Needy's like, no, your heart. That's actually Diablo Cody's favorite quote of the movie. Backstory behind the movie is that it was marketed towards like frat boys and just like males in general. So she knew that they would focus on her getting stabbed like in the tit area, and that's what they would see. And that's why she reinsured Needy's line as no, the heart, to draw away the focus that she was stabbed in that area. Mm-hmm. Cool, right? I didn't even think about it. I'm like, wow, that makes sense.
Such like a campy little line, but like just dissecting it and finding that meaning is incredible because it's so true, because that's how they would view it. But yeah, just like a great reinforcer.
Yeah, and like a reminder that she is a real person. Like she's not, and I think she kind of feels like, or Needy feels like Jennifer has lost some of her heart in this possession because she doesn't like give a shit anymore. She just eats men. But that final reminder that at your core, you're still a person and you're still my best friend.
That'd be so sad to get to that point where Needy did, though, and have to, choose what's right. Like, she knew that she needed to stop Jennifer from killing all these people. Yeah. So she had to make that ultimate decision. I have to kill my best friend right now because she's not who she is. She's demonically possessed. Like, that's not really her anymore. And you know how a lot of people latch on to something that's not really there, and that's actually that harms them more. So it was like a protection to herself as well. Maybe that's not the intention that it was, but that's kind of what I got from it, is that she was protecting herself and she was protecting others from what more danger could come from this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I feel like at this point in the movie, like towards the end, when she realizes that Jennifer is going to kill Chip, she becomes a very active character, and she realizes, I can't sit by. I have to actually confront the thing that's been like annoying me and has been kind of controlling me, and like you said, like kind of her protector in a lot of ways. And when she finally kills her, like I feel like it is a true breakthrough for Needy in terms of finding her own independence and empowerment and being like, I am my own person. I'm not defined by Jennifer, and I'm also going to protect the people around me at whatever cost it is to me.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, I definitely think the point that you brought up about Needy being sort of defined by Jennifer, and then at the end like her character arc is she doesn't have to be, and she can be her own person, but she can also be, because she got, was it scratched by Jennifer?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she has like some of her power. So it's kind of like you can take these experiences that you've had with people who are like maybe less than great, but even if you are damaged by that relationship, it can make you stronger and can give you a different perspective, and you can move on from it as a stronger person.
I was just thinking about this the other day, Jackie, because I was listening to Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. I was just listening to the lyrics and thinking about it, like, even though our relationships might have been toxic or not good, we learned from it and we've grown from every bad experience that we've gotten hit with. But we should still be grateful that we were able to have those experiences to grow. Because what's so wrong about growing in life? That's the whole purpose, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's what people forget. Sometimes it's like, obviously it sucks when like shitty things like that happen, when manipulative people come into your life. But when you grow from them and confront them and, learn how to handle yourself in those kind of circumstances, it really makes them work on you as a person and teaches you how to stand up for yourself and become stronger.
The film had a lackluster performance at the North American box office, making $2.8 million its opening day and $6.8 million its opening weekend, which like doesn't seem that bad, but I guess it's like for the kind of film that it was and what they expected, and maybe the production budget, it wasn't what they wanted. But it also received mixed reviews from critics. Negative reviews criticized the narrative and specifically the horror/comic premise for failing to be either funny or scary enough to satisfy. While positive reviews praised the film for its dialogue, emotional resonance, and the performance of Megan Fox and the supporting cast. But since 2018, in the wake of the Me Too movement, the film has been appreciated as a feminist horror film and as a cult classic. And it's especially beloved by women and people in the queer community because of the relationship between Needy and Jennifer. And fun fact, Megan Fox came out as bi during the film's initial release. And she said some questionable stuff at that time. It was very 2008. You can look into it, but I hope that she has changed her tune since then. And she made a post during Pride Month this year that the caption was putting the B in LGBTQIA for over 2 decades, which we love.
I mean, in general, film criticism is very white, male, cis skewing, but particularly for this film, when I was looking through the Metacritic aggregation, like most of the people in it were, men who were reviewing the film. And I think the top review was from Peter Traverse, who writes for Rolling Stone and is pretty well known. And his first line in the positive film review was hot, hot, hot. So that just shows like this type of ignorance. And it's like, did you understand the point of the film? Did you watch it? Like, what planet were you on when you saw this? Because it just shows, the amount of just apathy that, a lot of these critics have, and not understanding the purpose of it, and how film criticism, especially then and, continues to be today, just not representative of society. So when important films like this come out, they're not being reviewed, or if they are, it's like maybe 1 or 2 people are reviewing a film on these like major sites. Like, it's not representative of who the audience is, who it's aimed for, and if it meets its criteria and goals when trying to speak to them. So very frustrating in that regard.
Yeah, and these critics already have an idea in their head of how they want the movie to be. So if the movie isn't how they want it to be, then they're so opposed to it. They don't even care what happened. They don't even care about the little details. It's not just about what you're seeing on screen. It's the cinematography, the storyline, how it all comes together, the acting in it, like that all comes to play. And they're not giving credit. Megan Fox isn't giving credit for her acting abilities in this film. Amanda, her too, she can play so many different characters and she keeps killing it too. And like I said, she went from Mean Girls to that, or I think it was vice versa. And those are two completely different characters. And she does a phenomenal job in both.
Yeah. And like, I feel like people don't even like appreciate like when you're doing comedy acting. That's fucking hard. That's really hard. And both of those roles were comedy roles that, again, she killed. And especially in Jennifer's Body, she was able to put so much heart into it, the drama, the relationship with Jennifer, while still being funny and endearing and being like half the succubus. That's not easy. I'd like to see fucking Brad Pitt do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, going back to critics' expectations versus what the film actually is, like, especially because it's kind of going counter to this idea that, like, women should be sexualized or should, like, not have any power, and we have Jennifer literally, like, eating men, like, seducing and eating men, subverts those expectations that were probably put in the trailer or however it was marketed. And so I can see why like men might be upset by that.
Can I give a little tidbit about the posters?
Oh yeah.
Something that really, really pissed me off was when I was looking at like a lot of the posters, is that first off, it's just Jennifer. The setting that she's in is a classroom or it's a white background. She's never in that classroom with a chalkboard. She's never in a completely white background. Okay. And then the outfit she wears like she's wearing a red and gray cheerleader outfit. And it's not even cheerleading, it's like a flag.
Oh, like a flag bearer or whatever.
Flag bearer, yeah. So she's not even a cheerleader, she does like flags or whatever. That costume is purple and yellow. So it's like the studio had like no cohesion with the movie. It was all about sexualizing her. And then the most iconic poster is her sitting on a desk with books. Her hair is like parted to the side. She has curly hair in the poster. She has straight hair in the movie. And she's wearing like this tank top and short skirt that, again, she never wears. So it was essentially just like a photo shoot. It had nothing to do with the character. It didn't have anything to do with the movie. It was about sexualizing Megan Fox to sell tickets to frat boys, who this movie, again, is not for. This is, in a lot of ways, it's a revenge film. It's supposed to make women feel like empowered and laugh and, you know, like enjoy something and feel connected to something. And studios were like, excuse me? No, Warner Brothers just did not care.
They weren't having it. Like I said, the
No.
marketing team is to blame for this, for them sexualizing her, but also Hollywood was sexualizing Megan Fox, and that's what put her into like this. She was going through something. She even admitted that even during the film, when she was shooting, she was going through something, and I think it was post Transformers. I think Transformers really fucked her up and just what she dealt with there. But hey, I'm not gonna speak for Megan Fox, but she doesn't really talk about it. She's like moved forward from it. She can like, it can be brought up and she's okay with it, but like I said, I think there was a lot of growing and learning and just like putting it past her that needed to be done. Diablo Cody received an email from one of the marketing managers that literally she stated Megan Fox hot. That's it.
Ew, why?
That's all they cared about.
I mean, she is, but that's like, there's more there, you know what I mean?
I feel like they even like marketed Magic Mike better, which is like probably like 5 or 10 years later, but still, like even when a film was explicitly about like the objectification of men, I feel like that did a better job in like, I don't know, portraying a story than this did. Ridiculous.
Yeah, and this movie isn't even about like strippers, so like what the fuck? It's about high schoolers. Calm the fuck down.
The pedophilia, if we're being honest here, you know, like the sexualization on the poster and then in the trailer. Because I remember in the trailer, like they really wanted to highlight Needy and Jennifer kissing. They're like, ooh, lesbians, you know. And so it's very frustrating how it could just be this like obviously like gross, and people were like, this is okay, this is totally normal.
And there's a quote that Diablo Cody shared, and it is. The kiss between Needy and Jennifer wasn't a publicity stunt. It was intended to be something profound and meaningful to me and Karyn, the director. There is a physical energy between the girls, which is kind of authentic because I know when I was a teenage girl, the friendships that I had with other girls were almost romantic. They were so intense. I wanted to capture the heightened feeling that you don't really feel as a grown-up. Though the film stands as a dark comedy horror movie, the true heart of the film has a focus on female empowerment. We wanted to subvert the classic horror model of women being terrorized. I want to write roles that service women. I want to tell stories from a female perspective. I want to create good parts for actresses where they're not just accessories to men. In addition to bringing new perspectives to the genre, Cody also explained that a key reason for writing the film was to bring to the screen a new way of expressing the intensity of female bonds. Interesting.
Yeah, that's like very much like talking around the point. Like female friendships maybe definitely have a reputation of being more intense than like male friendships, but I think that comes from a place of maybe better acceptance of affection. Like they're not as like they can be open and affectionate and personal and intimate with each other, but then it's also I think a level of like when like straight women or straight women quotations like who aren't coming to terms with their sexuality, who are like, oh no, we're just really close, we just kiss each other.
Yeah, like we kiss each other
like
every weekend.
I don't know about that.
I hate that like Karyn and Diablo were not willing to say it, but like Needy absolutely has a crush on Jennifer. Like it's crazy the way that like it's implied, but they won't say it. Like it's just the vibes are off on this one because the way she looks at Jennifer. In the beginning, we get that slow-mo shot of her watching Jennifer do like her cheerleading routine. And it's like, if this was from a guy's perspective, there would be no question that he had a crush on her. You know what I mean? Because that's just like how we've been taught to see, like to interpret those scenes in film. Like that means that someone is romantically interested in someone else. So it's just crazy, like the hand-holding scene in the bar. Like, I'm done. I'm done with the queer baiting.
Yeah, there was a lot of queer vibes in it. And I think because, it was so early 2000s that there wasn't a lot of talk about the LGBTQ community.
It really shows how how Needy's more connected to Jennifer than to Chip. Because earlier in their film, Needy has this like sixth sense of whenever Jennifer's coming over, and Chip's like, that's weird. It's like she literally has like this like mind connection with her. But even when she's in like the most intimate setting with Chip, like, she's out of it. She's like thinking about Jennifer, even if it's in like this weird way. She's more worried about her than Chip in that sense. So I thought that was like a really, I don't know if obvious is the right word, but it was like very, very, very direct queer baiting, where it's like, it feels like a lot of her relationship with Chip, and Chip is a nice guy, but it feels like it's a kind of like comp het in a lot of way. It's not authentic. And like even when Jennifer kisses her, like she doesn't pull away. She's like, all right, we're doing it.
Like, this is what I've been waiting for. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, that's what best friends do,
Just two girls being pals.
Yeah. And I feel like she like she kind of feels guilty about it, but I feel like we don't see a ton of that too, like she never tells Chip. So
well, looking at Jennifer and Needy's friendship, is it safe to say that their friendship probably wouldn't have lasted? Because I feel like Needy would have been that person to outgrow Jennifer, and Jennifer would have just stayed in that type of teenage mentality because she was so invested in how she looked. We have the makeup scene where she's trying to put on foundation because she hasn't eaten. So that's when she starts deteriorating, when she hasn't had the flesh of men. And she has pictures of herself in her, like, it's like her little vanity. I think it had something to say, like there was a significance about it, because femmes, we struggle with comparison and identity and just
especially when we're growing up in our teenage years, I feel like that's when it's more, when it happens the most, because we're just trying to figure out who we are. We don't know. We're trying to figure out what we like. We're coming to terms with who we are. So I think that was kind of shown in a way where, she's losing what she cherishes the most about herself.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with social media now, there's just so much pressure to look some sort of way, or to look perfect, quote unquote perfect, or to make it seem that everything's okay, when I feel like now there's change, or like a shift in that kind of dynamic, where influencers are trying to show that not everything's perfect. Like, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have bad days. Not everyone's on that same wavelength yet, but it is up and coming, and more people are starting to talk about that it's okay to be imperfect.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because, like, image is still just an image. It's fake. It's a cultivation. It's like a fantasy and an illusion in a lot of ways. And I think that's what Jennifer gets so caught up in. And I think it's interesting that when she eats boys, she finds her empowerment through looking beautiful. Like, that's what it strengthens in her. And I feel like that's probably like what she wants the most. While for Needy, I guess we don't really get to see afterwards what that does to her, but I don't think it's beauty in particular. I think it makes her stronger because she's not wearing her glasses anymore, for instance. She like goes and kills someone, which like she was kind of against at the beginning of the film. So I think it definitely strengthened her character while it strengthened Jennifer's appearance. And I think that says a lot about them both.
Yeah, she's a kicker. She's able to kick that woman, which is crazy. And when that starts off the film, and you're just like, okay, strap in, here we fucking go. And then she like busts out of jail, or out of the institution that she's in. And so like it's more this like physical strength, I think, and she can levitate, although I guess Jennifer could levitate too. But yeah, like body image, self-image, like that's such an interesting point, and Needy brings it up as kind of like a sore spot to Jennifer when she's like trying to kill Chip, and Needy brings up that Jennifer was taking laxatives to stay skinny. And so it's clear that she feels this pressure to keep herself looking a certain way, and she feels really bad when she doesn't look that way. And I think it's definitely a commentary on like, yeah, the pressure that society puts on femmes to keep up their appearances, or like the sexualization of femmes.
There's still this certain figure and certain look that they want for characters. And I still see that. You still see petite characters in a lot of these popular shows. You don't see anyone bigger than like a size 0. Like literally. Only like in a few, but they're not like the main character. Unless they're like older, but like teenage girls, like, or just in their 20s, in their early 20s girls, like I don't see any characters on TV that I can personally resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
And we wonder why, like, women or girls, femmes, have body image issues, and like people call femmes vain for spending a lot of time on themselves, but it's like they're trying to keep up this impossible image that they've been fed. I mean, this is nothing new, this is nothing like, we all know this already, but it's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's like complete paradox.
Oh, I wanted to talk about virginity, or like non-virginity, because the reason that the ritual doesn't go through is because the band thinks that Jennifer is a virgin and they're going to sacrifice her, but she's not. And so her not being a virgin becomes like the source of her power, which I think is really cool. Like, she's like a literal man-eater, and a femme fatale, but the reason that she tells Needy, like, I am a god, and like we see her in that lake scene feeling like so powerful and so connected to nature, is because she's not a virgin, which is this expectation that is put on young women.
Oh my god, yes. Oh, I wanted to talk about this. So I was watching my YouTube docu stuff, as I normally do. And someone brought up a great point about that in horror films, especially early horror films, like in Scream or even Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween movies, how whoever's not a virgin gets killed off first. And then the virgins get killed off last, like the goody two shoes. And I didn't realize that. I'm like, yeah, that is true. So Jennifer's Body was that first movie to have a non-virgin as like their main character, and to just make it seem like it's okay. She didn't have to be a virgin, and that she brought up that she hadn't been a virgin since junior high. There's this like idea that it's bad to, not be a virgin, and that having sex in like high school is a bad thing or whatever the case may be. Now it's different. Now I see on television shows there's a lot of talk about sex. Like I was watching the new Gossip Girl and they're like high schoolers having sex. So it's like, it happens. You're going to have sex. But they just make it seem like it's such a bad thing.
Yeah, kind of to contribute to that a little bit, there's this film theorist and her name's Carol J. Clover. And I think she kind of at least like noticed the idea and like came up with a theory around it in her book, Men, Women, and Chainsaws, where basically the final girl of like a lot of slasher films is like this like virgin who is very tomboyish. She's not feminine. She's not very popular. She's kind of a nerd. And I think that's really interesting. It's like that's who's not punished, and like going back to Scream too, like when they're talking about the rules of horror films, like if you have sex, you will die. I think that's one thing I kind of like about Scream is that like, oh my God, Sydney, yeah, she has sex in the movie, literally with the serial killer. Sorry for spoilers, and she doesn't die at the end. So like, even though that was probably like 99, something like that. I think that's cool that like we start to see the beginnings of like a sex positive and less like exploitative horror character. Because I feel like whenever sex is portrayed in horror films, it's always in this very like dirty, exploitative, objectifying kind of way. So it's really cool to see that, and that Jennifer contributes to that.
100%.
So Diablo Cody states that she never, because of how badly this movie was reviewed, she didn't expect herself to be this kind of role model, especially like being a screenwriter. That doesn't happen. It's kind of rare that happens. She just says that a lot of people who come up to her, like 22-year-olds, and she's like, this movie came out so long ago and it's still being watched by like, younger audiences out there. And it just like blows her mind.
That's amazing. It just shows you it was so ahead of its time, because now it's just exploding because everyone loves it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this was the first opportunity that she got to freely write anything without anyone interfering with like the creative process of the script, which is the only time that she's actually gotten that type of opportunity, because she actually fell back from like, she didn't want to do red carpets. She just didn't want to be like seen as a celebrity. So she pushed back from that. And she said that was like the best decision that she's ever made for herself. And I guess for her sanity. I mean, Hollywood is pretty tough.
Yeah. And it's Absolutely. Crazy because like, wasn't she at least nominated for an Oscar for Juno? And like
she won.
Oh, she won.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well deserved. And so, she gets like one of the highest honors like a writer can get in Hollywood, but she was still treated like crap, like for writing a film that they didn't deem as good. Like, that's just awful. Because I feel like that wouldn't happen to a male screenwriter.
Yeah.
Like, mm-hmm.
I feel like women are put out as like, we don't get enough credit for what we do. When you do something bad as a woman, people keep bringing it up. And like, you get more shame than you would as a man or like a male figure. And I've seen that a lot, like even in the media.
You're 100% right. And I feel like it's also impossible to constantly one up yourself. Like, that's just not going to happen, especially like when concerning like trends, like what's going on in your life. Like, there are so many other factors. And plus, you can write a damn good script, but like if the director isn't cooperating, if like the aspects aren't there, like they're still going to get blamed for it, even though it's not their fault. It's ridiculous.
Film Spill is that kind of platform too, that we're able to talk about these films and show like that it's more than what critics have said about it in the past. Like really dive in deep. Like we were diving in deep and talking about the fundamentals of the movie and the symbolism behind it and what everything means. I don't know about you guys, but I can't watch a film and not think about every fucking thing that's happening.
Oh yeah.
You know? Like I analyze it to the core. I look at the dialogue. I look at the cinematography. I look at the shots. I look at how the characters acting it out, like everything.
It makes it so much more interesting because there's just like, I don't know, like this whole new story there. And it shapes us like on a subconscious level. Like it's gonna be a weird example, but like obviously there's like very little non-binary representation in media. But one of the closest things to it of like a genderqueer character is Pennywise from It, because of like they lay like Pennywise lays eggs and like they're like, oh, he's a girl, and like, you know, he's very like shape-shifting between like characters and stuff. So I just found that like very interesting in particular, that I love Pennywise as a character. So like it's interesting when you start like peeling back the layers and you're like, what about this appeals to me? So I found that really interesting about films. Like you just discover like the weirdest things about both yourself and the people making the films.
That's cool. I didn't even think about that. That's so awesome. I appreciate Pennywise a little bit more.
Thank you.
I'll have to send you, there was this video essay I just watched about the like genderqueer robot stereotype or genderqueer alien stereotype.
Stop. What?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Where like a lot of the if there is any like non-binary representation in cinema or in TV, it's all like non-human characters.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, I'm just like surprised I've never seen this essay because like I've been thinking about this for years. Like it's like always these like kind of like, what's the word? I don't know, but like aliens make sense and Pennywise is an alien. Like these like things that are like not human but kind of human. Like
This is Rowan Ellis's video. I love her. I'll send you her stuff. But the concept of humanity is so linked to gender. Like the way that we see up someone's personhood is so linked to gender. And so like the only way that kind of mainstream media feels they can portray a non-binary character is kind of by denying them of their humanity.
yes. Okay. Whoever this person is, I love them. I cannot wait to watch this. It's so true. Like characters are so deeply rooted in gender. So like when they start to exhibit like some sort of gender difference, then they become like inhuman in some ways. Like I don't know if you guys have heard of the trope of like a lot of trans women being portrayed as serial killers in movies, and particularly horror movies.
Yeah.
And like, you know, that having obviously like bad representation. But I feel like that's a level of inhumanity there by showing them like they're not normal people. They are these like serial killers who play dress up and are detached from reality, whether it be like Buffalo Bill or, you know, Leatherface has aspects of that in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Leatherface doesn't even speak, you know. So that is like wildly interesting and makes so much sense.
Thank you so much, Aspen, for suggesting that we watch this film. I know we've been getting some DMs, people asking us for it as well, and it is a very iconic movie, a very important movie, and so we had to talk about it, and I'm so glad that we had you on.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciated talking about it with you guys, and this was such a fun conversation. I'm glad we got to do it twice.
Yeah, I know. So nice we did it twice. Is there anything you want to plug, Aspen? Social media, projects?
So I'm producing a short film that will be distributing soon. So to keep up with us and learn about updates, follow our Instagram at Sparkle Short Film. And I also write on Medium. If you want to hear more of my movie takes, follow me at ABN291 on Medium.
Thank you for listening. This has been Film Spill, a movie night podcast. Thank you again to Aspen for being our lovely guest this week. And you can follow us on Instagram at FilmSpillPod for updates. We also just made a TikTok where we post little clips of the episodes and stuff, so you can follow us there, also at FilmSpillPod. And you can support the show by using our PayPal, also at FilmSpillPod. Also, if you like the podcast, please tell a friend and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts so that other people can find this show as well.
Editing was done by me. Cover art is done by Jackie.
And next week, we will be back with an episode on La Ciénaga, directed and written by Lucrecia Martel.
And until then, don't cry over a spilled film.